Hey everyone, today I want to talk about some of my favorite quotes from Stephen King's On Writing. This is one of my favorite books of his between nonfiction and fiction. I haven't read all of his nonfiction stuff just yet, but I wanted to talk about this one because I think there's a ton to get out of this, not only about King's process, but just lessons to learn in general. And some of the things that he wrote in this book really stuck with me. I have my Kindle highlights and it's, a few pages of scrolling of stuff that I saved, but I'm not going to go over all of those. Don't worry. I'm just going to do a select few here. But, one of the first ones is pretty early on in the book. He says, "Let's get one thing clear right now, shall we? There is no idea dump, no story central, no island of the buried bestsellers. Good story ideas seem to come quite literally from nowhere, sailing at you right out of the empty sky. Two previously unrelated ideas come together and make something new under the sun. Your job isn't to find these ideas, but to recognize them when they show up." The thing that stood out to me about this one is the fact that King blends so many different genres with his books that when he talks about two ideas coming together to create something new, you can tell that he's done that with his work, because over the years, a lot of people have known him for things like Carrie, It, Pet Sematary, Cujo, like the big horror titles. But then he's gone on to do things like the Bill Hodges trilogy, which is very rooted in crime, but still has those horror elements to the story and some of the characters that allows him to blend these two genres in a way that he hadn't really previously done. And then this one is definitely geared towards writing, but as someone who has written articles for various websites in the past and was attempting to do my own weekly newsletter, but it just says, "Remember that the basic rule of vocabulary is to use the first word that comes to your mind, if it is appropriate and colorful. If you hesitate and cogitate, you will come up with another word. Of course you will. There's always another word, but it probably won't be as good as your first one or as close to what you really mean." And this is something that I think you can apply outside of writing in a sense too, because sometimes you'll think of an idea, in my case, it's usually for a podcast, and if you think about it some more, you kind of start to change it when reality is the first idea you had was probably better than anything else you're going to come up with, so you should just stick with that. And, back to the note of the idea dump. I have this section set up in Notion, which is one of the productivity tools that I use for tracking videos and some other stuff that I work on. And I created this idea dump section for when I have an idea, I can just go in there and put it down. It's not that I'm trying to come up with ideas specifically to put in there. It's more like he said, when you have the idea, you sort of have to capture it. So that's kind of been my way to get that done. And I think one of the great things about this book is, even though it's about writing, it can apply to so many different creative fields. And, I think for anyone who has read this book, most of them will probably agree that it's one of King's better books. And I think it's great when creators are willing to work through their process. And I'm someone who has a ton of the Art of Star Wars books. I have The Making of Alien. I love process information in general. And, I'm probably never going to go make a movie, but it doesn't mean I don't love learning about how they're made. So a lot of that just really stands out in this book as well. He makes another point in the book. I want to say it's towards the second half. And he says, "Every book you pick up has its own lesson or lessons, and quite often the bad books have more to teach than the good ones." And I think this is true of a lot of things. It can be, again, applied to filmmaking. If you watch a movie that's bad, you start to see why it was bad. Was it caught up in production problems for years? Did the studio want a different cut than what the director had? That's a pretty common one, probably. But for me, I kind of took this as, okay, with my own work, whether it's these videos or the podcasts I do, I know there's definitely episodes or videos that are not quite as good as some others, and it could entirely be because I was unprepared, the guest wasn't as talkative as I was hoping, or there was just some technical difficulty that distracted from what we were supposed to be talking about or the video I was supposed to be doing. And, you know, those things happen. You learn from them and then you move on. And obviously, with something like YouTube, you can see when your videos don't do quite as well. So it's like, okay, now I know this is a thing that people probably don't want more of, or I just didn't put the video out at the right time. So even with books, videos, podcasts, you can definitely always learn something from the bad ones. And I think that's really crucial for all creators to consider. One of the last ones I wanted to point out is about honesty in storytelling. And it is, honesty in storytelling makes up for a great many stylistic faults. As the work of wooden prose writers like Theodore Dreiser and Ayn Rand shows, but lying is the great unrepairable fault. Liars prosper, no question about it, but only in the grand sweep of things, never down in the jungles of actual composition where you must take your objective one bloody word at a time. If you begin to lie about what you know and feel while you're down there, everything falls down. I am someone who has always wanted to talk more about things that I enjoy than things that I don't, just because if I'm being honest, one, that's way more fun to do, and two, I typically don't have a lot to say about the things I don't like. It's like that previous quote. I make note of why I don't like it, and I know to maybe steer clear from stuff that I know I won't like. And obviously there's stuff that I have purposefully consumed that I knew I wouldn't like because I chose to do a Stephen King podcast and I chose to watch a bunch of the adaptations and read all of the books. So, you know, inevitably there's going to be stuff that I don't like, but that was something that I did with a purpose behind it. I had a goal in mind. I wanted to read all of Stephen King's books, the good and the bad. And, you know, sometimes you just want to watch horror movies that you know aren't going to be very good, but if you're still having fun doing it, I think that's the more important thing. And you have to be honest with yourself about that, because if you're doing something that you don't enjoy and you're not being honest about it, I think that is just a recipe for disaster. Like, if I absolutely hated doing podcasts and videos, I wouldn't be doing them. It's just one of those things where I was like, okay, I enjoy doing these things. Sure, not 100% of the process is enjoyable. Some days I just don't want to edit. And as some of you may have noticed, my video release schedule has been a little sporadic lately, and it's because I just either haven't had the energy or time to do it, or honestly, sometimes I just don't feel up for it. So it's one of those things where I've kind of accepted that, okay, maybe I'm not going to be a person who gets videos out weekly. And I think that is probably going to, at least hopefully, make most of these videos better. But I just wanted to share some of those quotes that I really liked from On Writing. It felt like a better way to kind of give some thoughts on the book without doing just a typical review of it. And I think that anyone who wants to do any sort of creative work should definitely check this book out. It's not a very long King book, which is a weird thing to say for the most part, but I think it is definitely one that even if you don't like horror, you don't really get a lot of that in this. It's definitely very much a nonfiction book about how he writes. He will literally finish a draft of a book in 3 months, and that explains why he has 2 books come out a year pretty much every year for all of eternity, for all we know. At the rate he's going, he probably has a bunch saved up, and I can't recommend this book enough. But that is all I have for you today, so thank you for watching this video. If you liked it, hit the like button, subscribe, and I will see you next time.